Good morning from Nicosia, Cyprus, and a Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope everyone is having a fantastic Christmas, whether it is wrapping up for you or whether it is just starting. I wish everybody a very, very happy Christmas and happy holidays. And thank you. Thank you for the support on this channel and on the Duran channel. And all my best wishes to everybody that is watching this video. We do celebrate Christmas on the 25th in the Greek Orthodox religion. We actually follow, for Christmas, we follow the Gregorian calendar. For Pascha and Easter, we actually follow the Julian calendar. So for Pascha, which is Easter, we are in line with, say, the Russian Orthodox faith, as well as all the Orthodox religions are in line with regards to Easter, and they follow the Julian calendar. But when it comes to Christmas, the Orthodox religion is a little bit split. In Russian Orthodoxy, I believe in Serbian Orthodox, Georgian Orthodox, and also I believe the Orthodox in Jerusalem as well. They are on the Julian calendar. Also, all of the monasteries and the Orthodox faiths, if I'm not mistaken, in Mount Athos, I believe they also follow the Julian calendar, which means they celebrate Christmas on January 7th. Orthodox, I believe in Romania, in Bulgaria, and other Orthodox faiths. I believe that outside of Russian, Serbian, in Jerusalem, and Georgia, I believe the other Orthodox faiths, and I could be wrong about this, but I think they are on the Gregorian calendar, and they are celebrating on the 25th of December, in line with Catholicism, Protestants, and other faiths. So that is the difference between some Orthodox religions between themselves. There is a difference in the day that they celebrate Christmas. But saying that, let's talk about some news, and let's keep it light today. And let's discuss Twitter files. We got some more Twitter files. I don't know what number this is. Twitter files number 8, 9, I'm not even sure, 10. But Matt Taibbi, he dropped another batch of Twitter documents. Once again, no big surprise, no shock with regards to the revelations of this later Twitter files release. What it shows is that not only the FBI was working with Twitter, but the FBI would then bring in other intel agencies, and they would call them OGAs. Like an OG, but they would call them an OGA, and that's an other government agencies. And what they would do, this is how it worked. The FBI would infiltrate Twitter. It would set up its corner office. It would start operating with Twitter, telling the Twitter execs what to censor, what not to censor, all of these things, right? Paying the Twitter execs with U.S. taxpayer money. They would do that as well, and then once the FBI was embedded in this big tech company, Twitter in this case, but I'm sure this is happening in all of the social media big tech companies. Once they were there and set up, they would bring in other government agencies, for example, the CIA, and the CIA would then get involved in Twitter's censorship and surveillance policies and operations, and they would tell Twitter what to censor on a geopolitical basis. So, for example, Matt Taibbi dropped all kinds of documents showing that Twitter was, that the FBI and the CIA and these other government agencies, they were telling Twitter to censor posts talking about Biden and Hunter and Burisma and what they were doing in Ukraine, and censoring stuff about the Azov guys, and talking about Stepan Bandera and all of these things, because they were creating the narrative, or they were actually suppressing the truth to create the narrative that Joe Joe Bidenopoulos, Greece's favorite son, that he was not involved in Ukraine. There was nothing going on there. Hunter and Burisma, forget about it. Let's memory hold that. And all of this Azov, NEO, NAZI stuff that that everyone knew about prior to the conflict with Russia, all of that stuff didn't exist. So they vanished all of that stuff as well, because here's my thinking. They were telling Twitter, and once again, not only Twitter, I'm sure all of the social media companies, all of the big tech companies, the CIAs and the intel agencies, they were telling Twitter, we want you to erase all of these accounts that are talking about this stuff, talking about Bandera and the right sector and all of these groups in Ukraine, because I think they knew that sooner or later they are going to goad Russia into a conflict, or they knew that they were very close to a conflict. And I'm sure a lot of this stuff was happening. One second. I'm sure a lot of this stuff was happening as the conflict was starting as well, as the SMO started. So the intel agencies, I'm sure that they wanted to make sure that in order to prop up Zelensky, in order to raise up Zelensky and Ukraine as fighting the evil Russians, they had to do away. They had to erase any evidence of the Azov stuff. Let's just call it that, of the extreme radical elements in Ukraine. So they had to erase all of that. So that's basically what these Twitter files showed. It's not only specific to Ukraine. They were doing the same stuff with Maduro, with Venezuela, Syria, just any geopolitical narrative that went against, any geopolitical truth that went against the intel agency narrative, the war machine narrative, they were suppressing. That's pretty much, in a nutshell, what this Twitter release shows. And any involvement, any corruption, or any involvement, any business, any deals on that involved the Biden family, Hunter, any other politicians, all of this stuff, they also made sure to erase that as well. Any traces of that as well. So anyone tweeting about Hunter and Burisma and all of these things, well, that was wiped away. And Twitter executives, when you look through the emails, they actually had a hard time justifying the censorship of many of these posts, because they couldn't find how these posts were violating the terms of service. The CIA would be like, I want you guys to remove a picture that is pro-Maduro, say, something like that. And Yoel Roth and all of these guys at Twitter's Trust and Safety, they're like, yeah, but this isn't really violating our terms of service. So why should we erase this? Under what basis? And so they would have to cook up reasons to censor this stuff. Anyway, that is the latest revelation from Twitter. Let's see. I think I have some news that I can clean up here, like a lot of little stories that I would like to just kind of rattle off, which I haven't had time to discuss. Prime Minister Meloni, she's urging Italians to turn off the lights in solidarity with Ukraine. We discussed this on the Duran. This is their plan to deal with gas shortages, to deal with the sanctions that they imposed on Russia. The way that they're going to deal with that is that they're going to try and con the citizens into making their lives miserable by turning off their lights in order to fight Putin, right? That's the thinking. We have the president of the European Council, Charles Michel. He's trying to figure out ways to remove Russia from the UN Security Council. He said this during an interview with RTVI television channel. He is looking for ways to get Russia off of the UN Security Council. He says that there is a flaw in international law, and that's how he sees it. There's a flaw in international law by allowing Russia to be a permanent member of the Security Council. And he says that this is not about removing Russia from the United Nations. It's just about creating a mechanism to suspend Russia from the Security Council. Good luck with that, Charles Michel. This is basically the EU kleptocrats trying desperately to figure out ways to punish Russia because they've hit the end of the line when it comes to sanctions. I talked about this in my video yesterday. They have no more sanctions to hit Russia with. This 9th sanctions package is pretty much the end of the line, but they're trying. They're trying to cook up other ways to punish Russia, get rid of Russia from the UN Security Council, and you might as well just abolish the United Nations. Not such a bad thing, but that's what would happen. It's not gonna happen. China's not gonna let it happen. Russia's not gonna let it happen. 80% of the world is not gonna let it happen. I would imagine that it's probably better to get rid of countries from the collective West from the United Nations before you get rid of Russia from the United Nations. Anyway, that's what Charles Michel is trying to do. That's how he's filling up his days, not looking after the European Union and all of the corruption going on in the EU, of which there is a lot of. You notice how the Eva Kaili Qatar story has kind of vanished. No one is really talking about it anymore, are they? But a lot of corruption in the European Union, and I think it goes all the way to the top, all the way to the top. But let's not focus on that. If you're Charles Michel, let's try to figure out ways to suspend Russia from the UN Security Council. So what else do I want to talk about? One more story, and two more stories, and we'll wrap it up. According to the Deputy Foreign Minister of Russia, Mikhail Galuzin, he told RIA Novosti, and this has to do with Belarus, that the task of the grouping of Russian and Belarusian troops deployed in Belarus is, if necessary, to repulse a potential enemy in the event of an invasion of the territory of Belarus allied to us. So that kind of, if it's to believe, that kind of pours cold water on the whole. Russia is going to use Belarus as a launch pad to strike down into Ukraine. If this statement is to be believed, of course, it could be misdirection, but Deputy Foreign Minister Galuzin, that is what he is saying, that this force in Belarus is about deterrence. It's not an offensive strike force. It's about deterring Poland and NATO from causing trouble in Belarus and in Ukraine, in the west of Ukraine, for sure. So we have that story, and we have all kinds of stuff about these research facilities, as Victoria Nuland called them in her testimony. All kinds of evidence coming out about these research facilities and Hunter Biden's involvement in these research facilities, and just all kinds of stuff, which I'm not going to get into, but the Russians are releasing all kinds of data with regards to what's going on, or what was going on in Ukraine, according to Victoria Nuland's statements. We are getting word from Russia that the U.S. is now moving these research facilities out of Ukraine, and they're moving them to other Eastern European countries. Congratulations, Eastern Europe. You're now going to be getting Victoria Nuland's research facilities on your land. That's a win. That's a win for Eastern European countries. The Russians have put out the names of the people involved, their photos, their bios. It's pretty damning stuff. And you have the statement from Zelensky's, this guy's, I guess, his chief of staff, his communications guy, I guess, is Podolyak, his spokesman, Mikhail Podolyak. And he said that Ukraine and the collective West, they should attack Iran. They should attack Iran and take out the facilities that manufacture the Iranian drones. They should take out these drone factories. This is according to Zelensky's spokesman, Mikhail Podolyak. In other words, war against Iran is what he's calling for. Well, we have Iran's response to Podolyak's statement. And according to Iranian journalist Reza Abazi, I found this on the Slavyangrad Telegram channel. According to the Iranian journalist Abazi, who is close to the country's security services, quote, Zelensky's advisors want to attack Iranian UAV unmanned aerial vehicle factories. The delirium of the Ukrainian authorities seems to be caused by U.S. cocaine. The slightest action that threatens the security of the Iranian people will return Kiev to the pre-industrial era. This is not a threat. This is a warning, Abazi said. This is not a threat. This is a warning. An attack on Iran by Ukraine, by the collective West, will lead to a massive retaliation, according to this Iranian journalist. So, with that said, I will wrap up this this video with, I guess, two clown worlds from the UK. The first clown world is, did you guys see the video of Rishi Sunak at the soup kitchen talking to the homeless man? I will put a link. I'll find the link to the video, to the Twitter video, to the tweet. And it's from ITV News. I'll put a link in the description box down below. And Rishi Sunak was volunteering at a soup kitchen, doing a PR stunt at a soup kitchen, and he was serving a homeless man some food. And what a strange and awkward conversation between Sunak and this homeless man. Sunak asked this homeless guy, at one point during the conversation, he asked whether the homeless guy works in business and finance. And the homeless guy was like, no, I'm homeless. It was really a bizarre interaction. Really, really bizarre. The homeless guy asked Rishi Sunak, are you sorting the economy out? That's a direct quote. And Sunak said, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. He was at a London shelter serving breakfast. And then he asked the homeless guy whether he works in business. Do you work in business? He asked. And then the homeless guy said, no, I'm homeless. I'm actually a homeless person, but I'm interested in business. The man replied. That's a direct quote. It just shows how detached. What this incident showed is how absolutely detached guys like Sunak are from everyday, regular society, and especially those who are suffering the most and are in the most need. Sunak and these guys are they're in a completely other world, a completely different world. Anyway, I will put a link to that video down below. And then a final clown world. We'll stick with the UK. And this is coming from The Sun, so I'm not quite sure how reliable this is, given that it's coming from The Sun. But on my clown world, every now and then I like to play it fast and loose. And so we have The Sun reporting that King Charles III has evicted Prince Andrew from Buckingham Palace. This is after all of Andrew's scandals, specifically with Jeffrey E. This is what The Sun claimed. It is saying that it has a source in Buckingham Palace that says, and I quote, any presence at the palace is officially over. The king has made it clear he isn't a working royal. He's on his own. So that is the latest with Prince Andrew and King Charles. It feels strange to say that to King Charles, doesn't it? Anyway, everybody, that is my video for this Christmas day. Once again, have a great Christmas. Be safe, and we'll talk tomorrow. Take care.